Okay guys, so welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to do a raw Q&A. A couple of days ago I put up a question box on my Instagram just saying I was going to do a Q&A like this on my YouTube channel. I think I might aim to do one of these every single month. So I've got 6 good questions that I've pulled from the question box on Instagram. I'm going to work my way through them now. So jumping straight into it, going straight in, 2025, new year, new me. What are your current goals? So actually just kind of wrote down all my goals the other day and I've broken them into training, business and personal. So I think it would be good to go through all of those now. So training wise, if you're new to the channel, you'll know that you might not know that I hybrid train. It's very trendy to kind of say hybrid training in the industry at the moment, but I don't really call it hybrid training. It's just fitness to me. So I strength train and I do cardio as well. At the moment, my choice of cardio is running, and I'm currently prepping for a half marathon 4 weeks away, which I'll get onto in a second. Then I'm going to transition my cardio more over to Hyrox style training, some more conditioning, that sort of stuff as we move into a Hyrox prep in Sharjah. But my training over the last 13 years has predominantly been strength training alongside some rugby when I was younger. And then I actually had a break from about 4 years of basically no cardio when I went to uni, and then picked up running 5 years ago in lockdown. So ever since then, I've basically balanced strength training and running quite effectively. And my goals at the moment with my training is to run a sub 1:30 half marathon at the Burj to Burj half marathon in Dubai in, I think it is just over 4 weeks time. So I've run a 90-minute half marathon before, believe it or not, bang on 90 minutes in the UK. My best half marathon in the UAE was, I think it was 1:31:33. That was in Abu Dhabi last year. I'm definitely fitter since then, and it was really, really hot in terms of temperature. So I'm aiming to go under 90 minutes. I'm quietly confident that I'll probably go closer to 1:28, to be honest, but prep's going really, really well. I'm feeling fit, I'm feeling light. I'm running a little bit of a deficit at the moment, trying to get down to around 78 kg. And it goes without saying, if you can drop a couple of kilos through a running prep, it's just going to make the process a lot easier. Alongside obviously hitting that sub 90-minute half marathon, I'm trying to lean down, but also maintain as much muscle mass as I can. Strength training is going really, really well at the moment. I'm building strength in the gym. So essentially just trying to be the all-round athlete. I'm strength training 4 times a week. I'm running 3 times a week. Once I've got the half marathon out of the way, as I say, I will be transitioning more over into Hyrox prep, but it won't really change my training too much. Basically what I'll do is just sub one of those runs per week and make it a Hyrox specific conditioning session, probably on the Friday. If you want to hear more about my training, just go and watch some of the other videos on the channel where I go into more depth there. But yeah, essentially stay lean, maintain and build muscle, run a fast half marathon. And that's very much the sort of training that I do year round. I will go through phases of the year where I focus slightly more on strength training, not necessarily in terms of volume, in the sense I don't drive my strength training volume up, but I reduce my endurance training volume, which basically means that I can kind of give a little bit more to my strength training and my physique. But yeah, that's the training goals at the moment. I don't see myself prepping for a marathon in 2025. I think that's a whole different ball game, and my priority kind of this year is to continue to grow the business, which brings me on to the next thing. So business goals, online coaching. If you're new to the channel, we have a team of 3 coaches. We primarily work with entrepreneurs, corporate executives to help them build muscle, lose fat. And we have some performance focused clients as well that we also help prep towards half marathons, marathons, Ironmans. So my business goals for this year, obviously I've got revenue targets that I want to hit, which are roughly 25% above our revenue for 2024, which I think is definitely doable. We put the strategies in place there. It's going to involve some new hiring, so bringing some new team members in, and just upskilling everyone in the team, investing a little bit more into paid ads and things like that to grow my following and the business's following and the brand's following in general. But we just want to basically continue to provide a world-class service to our clients. I don't want to scale the business and bring more clients in if it's going to mean that we sacrifice the service. So we're currently working with around 100 clients, and I would really like to get that up to closer to probably 130, 140 by the end of the year. And I think that's definitely doable with the strategies that we have in place. So continue to grow the size of the program whilst maintaining and also improving the quality of the service that we deliver. I'm looking at bringing in some new features to the program alongside kind of the basic training, nutrition, check-in support. I'm looking to bring in maybe a blood work specialist as well, just so that we can fully optimize our clients' health. So basically they can get more out of their training and they can excel in other aspects of their life as well. Personal goals, feeling really, really settled in Dubai now. Just moved into a nice 2-bed apartment with my partner Misha, and my personal goals this year is to kind of have more of a balance while still scaling the business, but also to travel more. So we've kind of mapped out the year in terms of travel and holidays so far. We're going to be going back to the UK and Ireland in February, planning on going to Zanzibar in June, back to the UK again in July for a wedding that I need to go to. Going to go to Bali in August because obviously through the summer in Dubai from June till August it's unbearably hot, so we tend to try and get away. And then we're thinking Australia in October because I potentially have a client doing a marathon over there, and both my coaches that work for the brand, Harry and Peter, they are based in Australia as well. It's always somewhere that I've really, really wanted to go. I think the fitness scene looks amazing. I think the places with the best fitness scene at the moment is probably Dubai, Bali and Australia. So I'd love to go over there. So that's the travel mapped out. And if we can hit all those targets there, that'll definitely be the most traveling that I've done in a year. So yeah, those are my current goals. And obviously I've got these written down. I've got systems and strategies in place to make sure that we hit them there. On to the next question. Where do you live in Dubai? So currently, again, I'm assuming maybe this is someone who lives in Dubai that's asked this question. If you know the different areas, we currently live in Business Bay, and I would say the main areas that people know in Dubai that don't live there would be the marina and downtown and potentially Business Bay. So Business Bay is just across the canal from downtown, so it's that end of Dubai. I've lived in various locations since I've lived here. I've been here for almost 2.5 years now. I started off in JVC, which is kind of a suburb outside of the main areas of Dubai where essentially a lot of Brits tend to live. It's a little bit more affordable to live there. And then I kind of upgraded a little bit about 14 months ago, moved to downtown, one of the best decisions I ever made. Obviously cost more to get an apartment there, but it really kind of took my business and my mindset to the next level. And I think it's really, really important to surround yourself with, in a good environment where there's fantastic restaurants, great cafes to work in, good gyms, and most importantly as well, just being around people that are kind of, above you in terms of success and things like that. So if you are someone considering moving to Dubai, if you can afford it, I would definitely recommend moving to somewhere like downtown, Business Bay or the marina. There are obviously other nice locations like the Palm as well, and Emaar Beachfront, which is kind of down towards the marina, but the price is, really, really high down there. So I think it just depends what you're considering doing and where you want to live. But if you want any more information, feel free to just drop me a message on Instagram. I'd be happy to help there. It is a stressful transition moving here, but once you settled it, it really, really is fantastic. So next question we've got, 3 out of 6. How long have you been training for? So training, I would class that as you probably mean gym strength training. So my background, I started playing rugby when I was 6 years old, and I played rugby all the way up until 18 until I left school and went to uni, and then made the decision to basically just focus on the gym and not play rugby. I tended to be quite injury prone. So I actually did my cruciate ligament when I was 14 years old, year 9 at school. For anyone that knows kind of knee injuries, rugby, skiing and things like that, it's basically the worst thing that you can do to your lower body apart from breaking a leg. And it basically involved a 12 to 18 month rehab period. So the reason that I got into strength training was because I did my cruciate ligament, I had an operation on it, and I wasn't able to play rugby for almost 12 months. So I got into the gym when I was 14 properly, like following a proper routine that was given to us by the PT staff at school. Prior to that, about 6 months prior, I did start to do some basic body weight and resistance training with my dad in our home gym. So essentially you could say I've been training, strength training since I was 14, and I'm almost 28 now. So it's genuinely almost half my life. Obviously in the first couple of years, you make rapid progress, you build muscle without really following a proper program, not even training all the muscle groups. I could barely train my lower body because my leg was recovering. And it's fair to say my diet was not optimized whatsoever, but I made a lot of progress in, I would say, the first couple of years just because I was new to it, and I loved it. I was incredibly consistent. I would train twice a day sometimes, which obviously I know now is way too much, but I would say my progress really went to the next level when I discovered what progressive overload was. And I think that was around probably the age of 16, 17. I always used to do so much research myself on YouTube. That's kind of how I learned most of everything that I know in terms of training, because becoming a coach was not the plan, which I guess we'll get onto probably in another video. But when I discovered progressive overload, essentially it being that it's really, really important to increase the volume of your training in terms of the weight that you lift and the amount of reps that you do, that really took it to the next level for me. I think I put on probably 4 to 5 kg of muscle when I was 17, and I went from kind of like the low 70s in body weight up to kind of like 78, 79, which is mad because that's kind of the body weight that I maintain now, but I'm a lot leaner now, so my lean muscle mass will be much, much higher. But yeah, I've been doing it consistently for almost 14 years. There's probably 2 periods of time where I took an extended period of time off, and that was when I was in first year of uni when I had my appendix out. I was only out of the gym for 2 weeks, and then there was a longer period of time before that. I think we would have been 16 when we went on a rugby tour to South Africa for almost 3 weeks, but obviously we were playing rugby then, so it wasn't really a break. But yeah, that's the long and short of it. I've been training for almost 14 years consistently. I think a lot of people will kind of like look at my physique now and the amount of muscle mass that I have relative to body fat. Obviously I'm natural. I know obviously, you know, if you're taking stuff, you're obviously going to be a lot heavier with a lot more lean muscle mass, but people often question, you know, how can you consume so much food while staying lean? And it's because I've been doing it for years. I've got a lot of lean muscle mass for my height. I weigh around 79 kg. I'm only 5'10". So, and that's the reality of it. It takes a long time to build muscle. Obviously I know that I could have definitely put on more muscle if I'd done periodic phases of gaining, putting on body fat, stripping it down and doing it again. But personally, that's never been the way that I wanted to do it. I never, essentially I wanted to look good year round and be happy with my physique year round. Obviously I've gone through phases of higher body fat and lower body fat percentage, but I think that's very much in line with the sort of clients that we attract now. We have a lot of guys that go through gaining phases, but we do lean gaining phases where I never want a client to be uncomfortable with the amount of body fat that they have when we put them through a lean gaining phase. So that's very much been my philosophy. But if you look at like the trajectory of a natural athlete, maybe I could have put on 1.5 to 2 kg more of lean muscle mass if I'd done those lean gaining phases. But to me, I'd rather just maintain that kind of lean athletic look year round. And I think that's very much the way the industry is going nowadays. I don't think a lot of people want to actually get massive. You know, I don't know many natural people kind of, you know, below 6 foot that weigh more than 80 kilos, to be honest. So I'm not going to say I'm close to the natural limit. I'm definitely not, but that's just kind of like the way I've wanted to do it since I was younger. And like, I obviously run as well. So if I was going to put on 3 to 4 to 5 kg in a lean gaining phase, I'd see my running performance dip. And I see good engagement on social media platforms, and we definitely get more inquiries when I'm in good shape. So this is probably the physique that I'll look to maintain for the next few years, to be honest. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, and that's how long I've been training. But essentially, I've been strength training for 14 years, and with the running, I brought that in lockdown in 2020. So consistently running for 4.5 years, but I would say properly running in the correct heart rate zones and actually understanding how to run properly, probably closer to 3.5 years. Like most people, I think the first 6 to 12 months was me just getting into it, going out doing a 5K, trying to run it faster every single time, built up to a half marathon, and then understood and realized that I wasn't actually getting any fitter. So started to do a lot more research into it and realized that basically the best way to progress at running is to do the majority of your miles in zone 2, low zone 3, aerobic heart rate zone, and then incorporate speed work once or twice per week, depending on what your goals are. And that's how I've seen my running progress. But yeah, I'm looking to continue to balance both of them for the foreseeable. But I think personally, probably for the next few years, I'm going to focus slightly more on the physique side of things and just dip in and out of race preps like I'm doing at the moment, because I do enjoy prepping for races. I like having something to work towards with my running at all times. Next question, more of a lifestyle one. Would you recommend Dubai for an online coach? So short answer, yes, definitely. But I think it would really depend on where you're at in your career, where you sit with your current finances and what you want out of your life. So I moved to Dubai, I think it was almost 2.5 years ago. Simply the reason I moved at the time was I was almost a full personal trainer in the UK, and I saw a ceiling to my income. I didn't believe that I could charge more than 45, max £50 an hour for my personal training services in Newcastle. So I looked at where were the places that I could potentially move to. And for some reason, I thought Dubai and London were the two places to excel in the fitness industry. So I literally moved to Dubai intending to personal train and hoping to get my hourly rate up to 70, 80, maybe even £100 an hour over the course of a couple of years. It wasn't for the tax purposes, which I'll get onto in a second. And the reason that I chose Dubai over London was simply because of the weather. And I'd seen a few other coaches online do it. But my online business basically really took off just as I moved, because I started working with a mentor, and I never actually had to do any personal training once I arrived to Dubai. I still meet up with online coaching clients that we have in Dubai and do face-to-face sessions with them. But I've never worked in a gym over here because, as I say, the business really took off towards the back end of September 2022. So that's kind of my background. Would I recommend it? All I would say is, I think if you're living off online coaching and you're looking to move here and live here year round, you've got to understand there's certain costs involved. I'm assuming you want to set up your business here. That means you're going to be able to benefit from paying zero income tax. There is some tax that you have to pay. You will need to probably need to register for VAT, but you only need to pay VAT if you have UAE customers on your online coaching roster. But I would not recommend moving to Dubai unless you have savings of over £20,000, or unless you are generating a really good amount of income at the moment to build those savings up, because it's very expensive. It goes without saying the rent is expensive. You're going to struggle to rent anywhere for less than the equivalent of £1,500 a month, and it depends what area you're living in. You're probably going to want to rent a car, which is going to be £500 a month at least. You're going to need to set up your business, which is circa probably £4,000 to £5,000. So there's a lot of costs. The cost of living essentially is much higher. The cost of eating out is higher than the UK, with the exception of probably London. But the benefits of Dubai as an online coach, if you are doing well, you can obviously invest the money that you would have paid in corporation or income tax in the UK or another country back into, for example, paid advertising and reinvesting into your business. So I think if you're in a stable position with your business, it can be a very effective play to take it to the next level. Like, we invest a certain amount each month into paid advertising. I probably wouldn't be able to do that or invest as much if I lived in the UK. And going back to kind of Dubai as a location to excel, I think just being around realistically the best online coaches in the world. Like, my network over here, I have friends with, 7-figure online coaching businesses over here, on online coaching businesses. Like, I would have been around those people in the UK. So by just being around those people and speaking to them and networking with those people, it pushes me to that next level. So yes, I think it's a fantastic location, but I would not recommend moving unless you've got at least £20,000 in savings, probably more, to be honest. But again, if you've got any specific questions on that, feel free to drop me a message on Instagram. I'd be happy to help there. Are you single? No, definitely not. You mustn't have followed me for a long time if you asked me that on Instagram. I do post my partner Misha relatively frequently. I certainly don't shove it in followers' faces, but I do think it's important to kind of show the lifestyle side of my life, I guess, online, and show that I'm not just a robot that trains and eats and works all day. But we've been together just under a year. We met just over a year ago, actually at a business networking event in Dubai. So no, definitely not single. And the last question that we've got here, the one thing that you hate the most about the fitness industry at the moment. So I would say hate is definitely a strong word, but I guess I've worked in the fitness industry for almost 5 years now, but I've been kind of very aware of it for the last 14, because, as I say, I always did a lot of research. Back then, when I started training, YouTube was the main platform for me. Instagram was not as much of a thing, and it was just people posting photos. So I've seen the industry change a lot, even though I haven't worked in it as long as I've kind of been aware of it. And the thing I just hate at the moment, because a lot of people say that the fitness industry is saturated. I wouldn't say it's saturated. I would say it's definitely more competitive than it was a few years ago. But to put it bluntly, there's a lot of terrible coaches, both face-to-face and online, on social media platforms and on YouTube. And the reason for that is it's such a low barrier to entry. You don't need to have a personal training qualification to do online coaching. I obviously do have one because I was a PT before doing it. So you have a lot of people seeing the lifestyle that some people live, becoming online coaches, doing a personal training qualification for £1,000 and then training people on the gym floor. So essentially there's a lot of people in the industry, and I think that almost kind of causes this kind of competitiveness, but I think unhealthy competitiveness, where people essentially start to slander other people in the industry in order to get engagement, because it's hard to get a lot of engagement online now. So the thing that I dislike the most about the fitness industry at the moment is when coaches make videos about other coaches and kind of slag their terminology or the theories and methods that they use for their clients off in favor of their own. I just really dislike that. Personally, I've never done that. The thing that I dislike the most is when someone will take someone's post, I don't know how they do it, how they edit it, when they actually put it in their video and then they look at it and then they respond to it. I hate that sort of content. And the thing about me with my content over the last 4.5 years, I'm incredibly consistent with it. On average, I've posted over 1 time per day. And I really think if you can build your account up to posting 1 time a day, 7 times a week, that's not really that many posts, and it's not that hard to think of 7 bits of content per week for one platform. If you have to use someone else's content to slag it off for one of your 7 posts per week, I think that just shows that you can't generate content ideas. You don't potentially have enough knowledge or enough client transformations to post on your page, and you actually have to search through other coaches' content and then slag that off. I absolutely hate that. Like, I could literally post 3 times a day on Instagram. I have that many ideas. We have that many client transformations, testimonials. We could do that. And that's why we post 1 to 2 times a day on Instagram now. We post on YouTube twice a week, post on LinkedIn almost every single day as well. We do 3 or 4 emails a week. So that's the thing that I dislike the most about the fitness industry at the moment. So on the flip side of that, I think something that I guess I'm enjoying at the moment is a lot of people are being a lot more honest about their anabolic steroid use, and I've personally never had a problem with that. I think it's really, in the sense I've never had a problem of someone taking things like that. Again, I think people slag people who take gear off and say that they don't work hard and they don't deserve the results. I just think it's a choice that they make. But I think the problem is if you're selling services or advertising online, saying that you got into shape when you use stuff and you're making people think that you can achieve that naturally, I don't like that. But I think a good positive thing about the industry at the moment is a lot of people are being honest about their use. But again, I think it's fairly obvious to see who is taking stuff and who isn't. But I think the industry is great. It's hard, like online coaching, running a business like that. It's hard to grow, but it's very fulfilling, obviously helping people, growing a team, generating content like this. So yeah, just 6 questions there. I say I'll probably do one of these every single month, and I'll let the questions come in off Instagram. And I think it's good to have a mix of everything, fitness, nutrition, lifestyle. And the purpose of the channel really, because realistically on Instagram, we're never going to post videos of more than 60 to 90 seconds. It's what you call short form content. So I think it's quite hard for a potential customer to buy into me and the other coaches and the brand through 60 to 90 seconds. So the goal for me and the channel is just to show a deeper insight into kind of how we run the business, how we work with our clients, how I run my life day to day. Because I know a lot of the people that we speak to on Instagram, they then go over to YouTube and watch the videos, and then they come back and sometimes they sign up for coaching, or they at least take some of our free resources. So that's the goal with the channel. I'm going to stay consistent. Obviously, if you have any other ideas of content that you'd like to see or suggestions, just drop them in the comment box below.